Hey everyone, this is the Proposify BizChat. I'm Kyle Racky, and today's show I'm talking to Andrew Breen. He's a good friend of mine who lives in Halifax. He runs a great company called Outshine, and he's really the best AdWords guy that I've ever met. His company has done work with Proposify. We've hired Outshine as our agency in the past. And Andrew's going to share some of his AdWords knowledge. He's been in this game a very long time. It's something he lives and breathes. And so he's going to share some insights if you've used AdWords before, if you're semi-familiar with it, but you're not a master. I think this is going to be a really great show to kind of learn more about maybe things that you're not leveraging, misconceptions that people have when they use paid advertising, and it's just a great show. So check out my conversation with Andrew Breen right now. Hello and welcome to the Proposify BizChat. I'm Kyle Racky, and I'm sitting here with Andrew Breen. He is the president of a company called Outshine. They're based here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and they are a consultancy that helps SaaS companies build their top-line revenue through analytics, through advertising, and through automation. Happy to have you on the show here, Andrew.
Thank you so much.
So, full disclosure, we are pals who go back a few years. When I first met you, it was just you. You were Outshine.
I was Outshine, and you were Headspace.
I was Headspace. Actually, we didn't meet when I was running Headspace, did I?
You were you were in the transition period.
Right. And through that time, you have built up Outshine. You guys are now how many people?
We're 7 people.
7 people, and you are, you're really servicing clients all around the world. I think very few companies here in Halifax that you guys are working with. What are, I don't know, well, I maybe won't ask who your clients are that you're working with unless you want to share that, but I know you're down in New York and San Francisco a lot, talking with companies and doing a lot of their work. Andrew, actually Andrew and his team have in the past worked with Proposify, so they've helped us with our paid spending. Andrew's a master. I mean, he's very humble. He doesn't want to admit it, but he really knows his shit when it comes to AdWords and online advertising in general. So I think there's a lot of value in having you here today, especially helping people who just don't really understand the advertising analytics space. I know when I talk to you, we go for beers and stuff, and I think I'm a decently smart guy, and you're talking shit that's way over my head, that's super specialized. How did you get that good?
So I was in a rare opportunity where when I graduated from university, I had some interesting experience building kind of a viral video and website. And I leveraged that to get a job at a web development company. The company, they were designing websites and building them, and the clients were saying, this is great, but how do we get traffic? So I was brought on to do SEO and paid advertising. And SEO was interesting to me, and I did really well at it. But I loved the immediacy and kind of the measurability of AdWords. And really, Google Analytics was built to prove the effectiveness of AdWords. So people with AdWords experience, they have kind of a leg up in terms of understanding how to measure and what really works.
I have no idea that. Let me just stop you.
Yeah.
Google Analytics was built to measure AdWords?
Well, I mean, not specifically, because Google bought Outshine, which was kind of the foundation of analytics. But really, I think they did it to prove the effectiveness of AdWords, because ultimately, why else would they do it?
Yeah.
And I think it really has done a lot for AdWords, because it ties natively into analytics. Where Facebook, you have to UTM tag all of your stuff to know what's working. Right. With AdWords, all of that data is pushing into analytics automatically, so you can prove AdWords works much easier than any other platform. And because of that, I mean, that's why we try to bring the same level of measurability that AdWords has natively into the other platforms, into your Facebooks and your Twitters and display and all this sort of thing.
And why did you decide to work with, because I know you do work with a wide range of companies, but you guys really specialize when it comes to B2B and enterprise SaaS businesses. Why is that?
Because ultimately they know their numbers the best. and they know what a conversion is worth, what a trial is worth, what an ebook download is even worth. Whereas a lot of more traditional businesses, they're still trying to figure out that measurement model, and they might not necessarily understand the value that we can bring. And I find that the B2B and specifically SaaS, they really understand the value of a conversion. So that's who we like working with the most.
I always like that. Like I wasn't into paid ads, but like when I was in the web design business, it was always really nice working with companies that understood what their actual like call to action and conversion was.
Yeah.
You'd work with these government agencies and they'd be like, we just want somebody to go to our site, and like, okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I find with SaaS and enterprise, we had a proposal using Proposify actually, and they said they wanted leads, brand awareness, and industry recognition. And I'm like, well, you can pick one of those, but you can't have all three with one campaign.
Right.
And the SaaS companies really are more focused, for the most part, when they work with us, on that demand gen side. Leads. I think branding absolutely has value, but I can't tell you what the value of that is. But I can tell you what I can drive, like a lead or an ebook download or a trial sign up. And that's where we kind of deliver the most value.
I find you guys, and you are getting into a bit of the content space, but like you're so specialized in the measurement side and managing paid spends that you work really well when it comes to like working with companies that understand inbound and content and branding, and sort of there's such a play there where I think you need to be really good at both now. Like I don't think you can just come out with an AdWords campaign or a Facebook ad campaign without understanding like the content and brand side.
Right.
And you guys understand that and work with content companies and writing teams, right? Well,
we're actually seeing like a split right now in large enterprise marketing teams. There'll be a brand team and a demand gen team. And a lot of times they're not working very well together. But I think what we do best, like it works best when there is a strong branding component.
All right, so Andrew, the first thing that I want to ask you is lay people like myself who don't understand search and paid on the level that you do, hear people talking. Let's say Gary Vee, for example, who says like, hey, AdWords built his wine business, but it's overpriced now, and Facebook is the thing to kind of go all in on because it's the most underpriced form of marketing. And people hear that, and I think because people like black and white answers, they like do this, don't do that. They hear AdWords is irrelevant, it's on the way out. What would you say to that?
I would completely disagree. So to step back, one thing to keep in mind is that 99 cents of every dollar of new digital advertising spend goes to either Facebook or AdWords. So I don't think it's an either or. And I think a lot of marketers really focus on what is the next thing, what is the upcoming thing that I can maybe derive a home run of value out of. AdWords will not be a home run of value. It'll be a solid single every time. Because what you're doing is you're capturing people when they're actively looking for the problem that you solve. Mm-hmm. With Facebook, you're targeting people that you think are the right fit for you. And that's great, don't get me wrong, Facebook is incredible. But we think that AdWords is the gold standard for digital advertising effectiveness. Now, there are some caveats to that, but for the most part, if you can't make AdWords work, it's not AdWords' fault. It's your fault.
Yeah, we were talking before we started shooting this about how you say, like, if you're starting from scratch, you start with just search for like relevant keywords related to your business, and if you run that effectively, then you can start getting fancier. I mean, when you say that AdWords is the gold standard for advertising, like obviously you and Outshine and your team are running this stuff every day, and you're doing it for enterprise SaaS businesses. Like, how do you kind of evaluate, like, do we run it against people searching for similar software? Do we, like, how do you get those consistent results where we go, okay, we know exactly how to get a lead, how much a lead costs, how to push them through the funnel? I mean, can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a broad question, I know.
Yeah. No, I mean, we think of sets of keywords in different ways. And essentially, there's three sets of keyword types. There's generic search. So Proposify would be proposal software, right? Or if you were selling sales software, it might be like sales software or sales enablement software. People don't know exactly the brand they're looking for. They're just looking for that kind of general thing that you do. So that's generic search. Then there's brand search. There's people looking for your brand already. Now, there's debates on whether you should bid on that or not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like...
Because shouldn't you appear first organically if it's searching for your brand?
Absolutely. So, but the thing is, people can bid on your term as well. If it's a highly competitive space, you may want to bid on your own brand as a form of insurance. And the third one is competitor. So when you bid on a competitor. Now, if you're going to do that, you have to be willing to create a landing page that says, here's why we're better than the competitor, and really kind of like plant that flag.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to do that, don't bid on competitor terms.
Right. So don't bid on, like, let's say you're competing with, I don't know, Apple.
Yeah.
You don't bid on Apple and then just point them to your homepage, right?
Exactly.
Like, here's why we're better than Apple.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, if you're going to do AdWords, make dedicated landing pages. If you're not willing to do that, don't really even bother trying. Unless you have a really great trial sign-up page or something that is working. When AdWords doesn't work, it's not because, again, the system, it's because of the approach.
Right.
And you haven't taken the time to create the right messages and the right offers that work. Because think about it, people are they're searching for answers to problems. It's not like Facebook where they're just passively browsing. They want, if you have the right solution, they want your solution right now. Right. So if you're not selling them on it, it's not AdWords' fault. It's your fault.
Yeah. And for people who find like landing pages arduous, or they don't have like web designers on staff, they can call to just create the stuff, and copywriters. Like there's landing page software out there.
Yeah.
Unbounce, Optimizely, those kind of things. You can spit that shit out. Like you don't really need a web designer if you don't have it. But like, I don't know. How do you go, like, from the copy standpoint? Because that's so important, right? Like, the keywords have to match the ad, which has to match the landing page. And that's why you said, like, don't bid on competitor stuff. If the landing page isn't going to talk about the competitor,
right,
then don't bid on that.
Right.
How do you guys get around just sort of the creating the relevant ads and the relevant landing page approach?
The very boiled down simplistic approach that we have, because a lot of our clients, they don't have a thing that you can just like sign up for and buy right away. It has like a long, complex sales cycle.
Yeah.
Ebooks, white papers, get them into your CRM, nurture them at that point. AdWords is a fantastic way to get people to download your kind of first touch content. So your first touch content has to be good. But if someone's searching, for example, I want to talk about my clients, but I can't specifically talk about my clients. A lot of them are like NDA.
We can cut that out.
But essentially, it's like, let's say someone's looking for, how do I close more sales, right? Maybe you, as Proposify, have a great ebook around that, right? And if someone searches, how do I close more sales? You have an ebook that kind of speaks to that, and maybe you're not even talking about Proposify in that ebook. You probably actually shouldn't. But once they sign up, you know that they're interested in that, and you can kind of nurture them along.
Right.
So it's you're not like, if you want to do AdWords, you can't just jump into it and do it right now and be successful. You have to think about, what is the offer that I'm promoting, and how do I use that to nurture them along to buy?
Right.
Unless they're really immediately looking for proposal software, which that's great. And you can probably, if you have a great offer on like a trial, you can close them that way. But unless you have that, think about what your offer is. Craft a good offer first, and then start AdWords.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I talked to Nicholas Kuzmich, and the conversation was much more around Facebook advertising.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to get the alternative side, like the other side of the coin with paid advertising. But I think the principle still applies, that the offer has to be really good. Like, ebooks and white papers, they work, and actually we're working on one right now. But as a lot of us know, like, ebooks aren't people won't often read the whole ebook. They won't get to the end, but that's not really the point.
Right.
They still download them. But if you can give them an offer that's something that's so fucking good that like you feel like you shouldn't give it away, it's probably the right offer. Like,
Right.
I'm giving away too much because it's still not the thing. Like, you'll still make money off of the sale down the road, but just like the offer has to be good enough that people aren't like, oh, this is shit I could get anywhere.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, and we've also seen offers that aren't phenomenal. I don't think like if you're concerned that your offer isn't super amazing, you shouldn't do AdWords. I just think that, broadly as a marketing community, people are really obsessed with the next shiny thing. And AdWords has been around for, I don't know exactly, 12 years. Yeah. Like it's ads.
Longer than that, isn't it?
I don't know offhand.
Yeah,
it's like we joke that it's ads and it's words. Like it's not super sexy. Yeah. And I think because it's not super sexy that people aren't interested in talking about it because they add new features and new twists to it, but essentially it's the same thing that it was 10 years ago. Whereas Facebook is rolling out canvas ads and lead ads, and it's things that, as marketers, we get excited about wanting to try.
Yeah.
But I think the mistake people make is that they do a little dabble in AdWords, maybe it doesn't work right away, so they're like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
Or they're trying 15 different channels at once. They have no idea what anything is doing.
Right.
So they see the cost per click on AdWords is higher than Facebook, and they say, well, it's not worth it because we're getting cheaper traffic. If you're playing the cheaper traffic game, you're doing it wrong from the get-go.
Hang up your skates.
Yeah.
It's kind of more of a Canadian reference, but yeah. Talk about the mistakes that people are making. You've already talked about some of it, but like when people go like, holy shit, I'm paying too much for cost per lead, cost per click. Like, what are the mistakes that they're making?
So to quote your boy, Gary Vee, I think AdWords is
my boy.
Your boy. It's about the clouds and the dirt, right?
Yeah.
The clouds of AdWords are kind of the strategy. Are you doing remarketing? Are you doing search? Doing YouTube? But really, the dirt is where AdWords is won and lost. And I think the most important thing that people don't look at when they're doing AdWords is the search query report. And what that is what are people actually searching that are triggering your ads and then they're clicking? Because a lot of times people are bidding on keywords that they think are doing one thing and they're actually doing a completely different thing.
Wow.
And I'll give you an example. A client of ours, they wanted to bid on PCI compliance software. Very specific. You'd think if someone's searching that, it would convert well. What they didn't realize was that they didn't have the match type right, and they were bidding on the term PCI. And they're spending a lot of money on a company called PCI Auctions and PCI Radios. PCI has a million different meanings.
Oh, yeah.
So
you type 3 random letters into a Google search engine, you'll be amazed what you find. Like, there's acronyms for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to have really tight control over your keywords and what's triggering.
Right.
So you should be spending, if you're running an AdWords campaign, you should be at least reviewing that every week to see what's happening at a keyword level, because people often think, I'm bidding on sales software, it didn't convert, and they just rule out that as a thing, when in actuality, they're showing up for what software, should my sales team be using? Like, there's
people type like full-on questions into Google.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So really, you have to look at that, because that's where AdWords is won and lost, at the search query report level. And like the thing about AdWords is that it gives you so much incredible data that people, who are, customer personas are very hot right now. They've been hot for years.
Yeah.
But like assuming like, oh, my client is this, this, and this. AdWords gives you so much data about what is my actual persona doing. So a great example is like, if you're running remarketing, look at the placement report. Where are people actually spending time on? It's
placement in terms of the device?
Sorry. The placement in terms of once someone has gone to your website, where else are they going on the internet that your remarketing ads are showing?
Right.
A lot of people go, let's run ads on like the Wall Street Journal and Forbes. I mean, yes, people go to those pages. People go to a lot of other pages too.
Yeah.
So there's so much like incredibly insightful data. Like you want to talk about like content ideas. There's like, it's a gold mine, the search query report for like, what should we be writing about? You can see what people are searching for, they have questions about right now. There's so much good data in there. And people aren't looking at that because it's boring.
And it's work. It's a lot of work.
Exactly.
Like I've seen you go to places in Google Analytics. I remember when I was showing you what we were doing, and like I didn't know those places existed in Google Analytics. I was like, what is he clicking on? Like you were going deep down that rabbit hole, but
it's the dark web of like web data. But like I really believe strongly that that's where AdWords like has the most value. You have to get into the weeds of AdWords.
Yeah.
You can't just kind of like set it up really quickly and hope it's work. It's not going to work.
No.
It's
yeah,
not
you got to know your stuff. And is it, if somebody wants to learn more about it, do you recommend they get like AdWords and analytics certified and like take courses? Like, how do you get into that? You know, the
really,
weeds?
yeah, I think like as a starting point, the training that Google provides you is a good kind of starting point. But at the same time, you know, Google, like we all are companies, and they have an agenda, and they don't necessarily want you to negative match the things that aren't working for you because they're going to make money
because it's costing you money. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So I think like you know, PPC Hero is a great, like I read them all the time, Search Engine Journal, that sort of thing. But again, they focus on the hottest, latest, and greatest of AdWords. It's really about taking the time and initiative yourself to just go in and look at the search query reports.
Yeah.
That's where you want to be looking at.
That's good point. Now, you talked about lesser known AdWords levers. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So within AdWords, you know, we might launch a new campaign with a broad set of keywords. And, you know, we kind of start with like a broad, think of a funnel, right? A broad funnel of keywords and ideas and topics. We start narrowing it down until we have like a really core set of winners. And the way you can narrow down that audience, yes, you can do it with keywords, but there's a lot of other ways you can do it too. And that's why I find AdWords so fascinating, maybe more so than some of the other ad platforms. Facebook is getting really good at this too, but every other ad platform, you can't really do this on. So great example is device. So by default, your ads will show if someone's searching on their phone or on their tablet or on their computer. Now, Google and Facebook and all of the advertising companies really hero, you know, mobile is incredibly important. And I agree it is important, but if you want to drive conversions in the most cost-effective way, it's almost guaranteed going to be desktop. People like convert
they're not signing
desktop.
up for stuff on their phones as much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing, like mobile hasn't replaced desktop, it's just sucked more of our free time. I think when people are sitting down to like do business, so to speak, it's still on a desktop.
Yeah.
And I think that if you have a limited AdWords budget, focus on desktop first. So that's one lever you can pull. You can turn off tablet, you can turn off mobile, or you can like set bid adjustments. So you can say, I'm willing to spend 50% less for a mobile searcher than I am on a desktop, or vice versa. It's up to you. That's just one lever. Another great lever is day of week. So you probably would notice if you look at your analytics, you know, the conversion rates differ depending on what day of week it is.
Yeah.
Now this is different if you're doing B2C, it probably doesn't apply as much, but B2B, especially like kind of like more boring enterprise things,
right?
Like it's heavy like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday starts tailing off, Friday is a disaster day. And sometimes the weekend is great, you know? So like you really, what you want to do is like, don't make assumptions, collect data and then optimize on that way. But you can decide like, I don't want to advertise on Fridays. I only want to advertise on Tuesdays from 2 to 4. It's really up to you.
Right.
And you have that control in AdWords where you may not on other platforms.
It reminds me a lot of just general business where you know, just like, if you run any sort of like agency, consultancy, you obviously don't want every lead that comes in the door.
Right.
Like most probably won't be a fit. And so you're better off saying what you don't want than what you do want, you know? And it's like kind of the same from what you're talking about is like almost spend more time figuring out what you don't want and just accepting like this narrower pool.
I'm like beaming right now because I'm obsessed with negative matching.
Yeah.
And this is something like I just set up our own campaign and I almost literally find by the negative matches as opposed to the positive matches. AdWords is amazing at this. So one group we almost always negative match is 18 to 24-year-olds. So you have that ability in AdWords. You can say, I don't want my search ads to show up to 18 to 24-year-olds. I have no problem with them. The problem is at enterprise B2B level, they're not making decisions. Right? And you can turn off 65 plus. Old people aren't buying the shit.
And they're not CMOs at
exactly.
You know.
Like we know, you know, it's like 35 to 54-year-olds. That's who we want. And we can turn off our ads to everybody but that. We can turn off, if you're not a parent, you can not see our ads. Like that's the level of granularity and control. Those levers that you can pull in AdWords that you can't necessarily pull in other platforms.
Wouldn't Facebook have more of that data, like parenting data, than Google?
They have amazing parenting data.
Yeah.
But the problem is, again, with Facebook, it's a passive versus an active thing. So you can know your audience perfectly on Facebook, but they may not be searching out what you have. If you can't convert someone who's actively seeking what you have a marketing problem. You don't have an AdWords problem.
Right. That's good.
Well, you actually probably have both, but there's one thing I want to say.
Yes.
Before we do anything.
Yes.
If you are a company that has an agency doing AdWords for you, here's what I would ask you to do. Go into your AdWords account, find the search query reports, Google how to find it, and look at those queries over the last week or the last month, or depends on how much you're spending. And really understand, are these the right searches that we want our business to show up for or not, before you say AdWords doesn't work. That's what I want you to think about. And also think about, don't chase shiny balls. AdWords works, Facebook's works, but it doesn't have to be either or.
Yeah.
They can both work in tandem.
People want to know, is Snapchat the thing? Is Musical.ly the thing? And these new emerging platforms that I can just go. Well, I shouldn't say Snapchat's emerging. I know they're not, but people haven't really leveraged them, I don't think, from a marketing standpoint yet. Right. And we were talking about just how it's every 7 years. There's Halley's Comet. There's not always going to be an opportunity you can jump on today to just completely change things. It's a bit of an anomaly, but stick with tried and true. I think that's your message, right? Especially
if you're a small marketing team with a limited budget. If you're Coca-Cola, do everything. Try everything. Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're a really a niche opportunity, explore some really cool things. But if you're most businesses, you have a limited budget and you have a limited team and a limited time, focus on what works and you can measure and prove what works. Right. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be doing Snapchat if you're a local plumber. It's that simple. Yeah,
follow me on Snapchat to get all the local plums that I'm doing.
Yeah, and it's not to shit on being innovative.
No pun intended.
Yeah, but the thing is most companies at their core aren't really that they're not changing the world.
Right.
And so their marketing should focus on fundamentals that are provable that they know works and can scale.
I love it. For more information, check out Andrew Breen. He's talking on the Outshine blog, he's talking on LinkedIn, and doing speaking gigs around the US.
We should speak together sometime.
We should. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hope you guys like this. Be sure to subscribe to get more content like this. Share it, and let us know what you think. What else do you want to learn about? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.